Before I ever started this company, I had what you might call an early entrepreneurial moment. I was in college and I came up with an idea for a local hardware store. It was a true value service center where people could come in, get referrals for roofers, plumbers, painters, whatever they needed around the house. The store loved the idea so much that they actually hired me, which is hilarious because if you know me, you know that I can't fix anything. I'm a guy who stares at a leaky faucet like it's a math problem. But hey, I did know marketing and I turned a little idea into a nice little side business for that store. Looking back, that was my first taste, or at least one of my first tastes of creating extra revenue streams. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. 5 ways to create extra revenue streams. My name is Rich Harsha. I'm the founder of Level 10 Contractor. I help remodeling and home services companies generate 200 to 500 leads a month with websites, SEO, pay-per-click, social media, and also CTV. Before we get too far into this, I need to throw out a little disclaimer. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your main focus on your main thing. Like Stephen Covey says, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. If your core business is running smoothly, meaning your people are solid, your systems are in place, then sure, you can start exploring some side revenue opportunities, but only once your foundation is rock solid. And let me just be clear, I'm not talking about doing something completely different. If you're a roofing company, don't go start selling used cars or something like that. Stick with something that connects to what you already do, something that complements your main business, and make sure that you've got the right people running it. Don't let side ventures pull focus from the team that keeps your main thing thriving. All right, now with that disclaimer, let's get into it. 5 ways to create extra revenue streams. Here's number 1. Sell the leads that you have that aren't a good fit for you to somebody else, okay? You're going to get leads that don't match what you sell. Some leads are going to be looking for a cheaper solution than you have available. Other leads, maybe they're looking for something more expensive than you have. This goes all the way back to the late 1990s. I was working with an insurance agency in Fort Worth, Texas called Al Banker Insurance. Al Banker, rest his soul, he has passed away recently, but Al Banker serviced the lower end of the market, meaning drivers who were not necessarily blessed with good driving records, shall we say, higher risk drivers. So he'd run all these ads on radio and TV and people would call in and he'd get people signed up and it was a really nice business. The guy was making a freaking fortune. But here's what he found out. Even though his commercials did what we thought were a reasonably good job at qualifying the types of business that he wanted to get, he still got tons and tons of calls for people who were overqualified to buy from him. People who needed what was considered standard insurance, okay? Like Allstate, State Farm, something like that. Higher end, more premium kind of insurance companies that don't really focus on those lower end drivers with problems on their records, okay? That's who Al Banker was servicing. So there wasn't a match for a lot of these leads. So what did he do? Well, easy. He started a new agency. It was an Allstate agency and he did it in the name of his wife, Sue Banker. And to be fair, Sue actually was the agent and she ran that business, but it was all from the leads that were overflowed coming from Al Banker Insurance. Within 6 months of starting, I think it was about 1988, she became the #1 Allstate agency in the state of Texas. And if you're not aware, Texas is a big state. That's a big deal. And the reason was because he had all of this business, all of these leads flowing through his business that he just couldn't use, and he would funnel them over to her. They were basically getting tons and tons and tons of leads for free. Well, you might hear that and say, well, that's good for him, but that doesn't really have anything to do with me. Well, I don't know. Let's think about it. What about you? Are you a high-end guy that could sell your lower-end leads to somebody else? Are you a lower-end guy that could sell your higher-end leads? Here's what you do. Find a company that you trust and enter into some kind of an arrangement with them. They're paying cash for leads to somebody. Why not you? Maybe you buy their leads if they're on the opposite end of the market, or maybe a percentage of the deal, maybe 5 to 10% of the sales, something like that. You're spending the money to generate these leads. If you're generating leads that you can't use, you might as well capitalize on them. So that's number 1. Sell the leads that you have that aren't a good fit and make some extra cash. Got it? All right, let's keep the money faucet wide open. Let's go to number 2. Second revenue stream, work, and I mean really work your unconverted leads. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about good leads that simply don't convert. A lot of leads don't convert, and do you know what the reason is? What do you think? Most people think, oh, well, it is too expensive, but it's not too expensive per se. It's what I call sticker shock. They don't buy from somebody else. They just sort of sit on their hands and they do nothing because they were so surprised at how expensive you are. Now, it's not that you are all that particularly expensive. Maybe you are, but it's just that they were expecting it to be less money. When somebody wants to get a new roof, they're thinking, oh man, I wonder how much a new roof is, but they don't know. How would they possibly know? They've never bought a new roof before. So in their minds, maybe they're budgeting, I don't know, man, like $10,000, $15,000. Then you come along and you quote them $22,000 and they're like, holy crap, that's a lot more than I thought. So they just don't do anything. Yeah, some people will buy from a competitor, but a lot of people will just do nothing. So let's do this. Assume that 50% of all the unconverted leads that do not buy right now, in other words, they don't go buy from somebody else, they just don't buy. That means you got a bunch of really good, what we would consider, I don't know, think of it like this, free leads. So here's what you're going to do. Follow up on them. Yeah, I know, revolutionary. But be willing to spend money to do it. I want to run some numbers with you on this one. So the first thing you want to do is figure out what your allowable marketing cost per sale is. Here's how you figure that out. For most companies, they're willing to spend, give or take, about 10% of the cost of a sale on marketing. So for instance, if they have a $15,000 average sale, they'd be willing to spend, let's say at 10%, $1,500 per sale. That's the allowable marketing cost per sale. Now remember, you already have a sunk cost in generating those leads in the first place. The lead generating cost to get those leads, you've already spent it. So what you want to do is look at those and say, okay, I've got all these leads. Now I'm going to spend up to 10% of the sale on this 50%. Remember the 50% we talked about? And you're going to get these guys to come in as additional sales. So let me give you an example here. Let's say that you generate that 100 leads and you convert typically about 30%, right? Pretty normal industry average. That leaves about 70 unconverted leads. And again, let's assume that 50% are going to go ahead and buy from somebody else and you're just going to lose that business. But 50% are just sitting on their hands. They're not going to buy right away. So that leaves you 35 prospects in this example. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to send them texts and emails and get ready for it, snail mail. Okay. Text and email are basically free because, it's not that expensive. You got to set it up, but automated services like Hatch or MailChimp or something like that, they cost a nominal amount to run. Nothing compared to the returns that you're going to get on all of these, shall we say, sleeping giant. Snail mail, on the other hand, costs a little bit of money. So let's say that you send a postcard and it's 75 cents per postcard and you do 2 per month and you're going to do that for 50 months. Yeah, it's about 4 years, maybe a little bit more than 4 years. So 100 postcards at 75 cents each, that's 75 per prospect, $75 per prospect. Okay, 75 cents each over the course of 100 postcards, $75. Got it? So you've got to send this to those 70 people that didn't convert. That's going to be $5,250 if you spread it out over the course of 4 years. Okay, now you're not going to be spending it all up front. It's not like you have to just write a check for $5,200. It's just going to take time over the course of that 4 years to get that money spent on those mailers. Well, if you want to hit your 10% goal, that means that you need to sell, $52,250. And if you've got an average sale of $15,000, like we just talked about in this example, well, that's about 3 1/3 sales over the course of 4 years. I don't know how you sell a third of a sale, but you get the idea. 70 unconverted leads times 12 months is 840. You do that for 4 years, you get 3,300 people in your system, and it starts to add up. It starts to cost a little bit of money, not just $5,000, but now you've got all of, what did I say, 84? Okay. Anyway, you got a lot of people in there. Now, there's a couple of things about this I want to point out. Number one, if you follow with people and you find out that they did buy from somebody else, take them off the list. You don't have to spend any money on those people. That's dumb. So don't do it. Solicit this early through text messages or a call. Trim those who've already bought off your list, and the amount that you spend on mail could go down by maybe 10 or 15, who knows, 20, 30, 40%. Now, the other thing that I want to address is a lot of people are hearing this and they might say, well, why would you send people stuff through the mail? That's dumb. Just send them an email, or just send text messages. Well, that's the reason we have text messages. Hey, Rich, you're always talking about how great these text messages are. Yeah, it is great. Here's the problem though. People might request to get off your list, or they might not get them, or they might unsubscribe from your email list. All of these different things might prevent them from even seeing your message. But if you put it in their mailbox, they're going to get it. They're going to get it. If you did this 2 times a month, like I said, you did it for 48 straight months. So you send 100 postcards over the course of 4 years. Trust me, people are going to see it. They're going to notice it. Now, what kinds of things are you going to be talking about in those mailers? How about this? Identity. Yeah, identity. Here's how we're different. Here's why we're better. And here's what you can expect when you do business with us. That's identity. You can also do some price conditioning where you talk about something like, hey, yeah, I know you think this is expensive. It's kind of a nod at their sticker shock. It's acknowledging and validating them. Overcome those objections by drilling home your value. Come on, you know how to do this. You can do it. So that's number 2. It's the second additional income stream. Work really, really hard on your unconverted leads. Let me ask you this. Which of these strategies do you think would work best for your business? Drop me a comment below and hear from you. All right, let's move on to number 3. This is the most obvious one, and it's also the most dangerous, okay? But it's also the most profitable one. And it is adding a new product category. Make sure that your ducks are in a row. You don't want to just willy-nilly go into new product categories. Make sure that everything that you're doing is buttoned up for the existing product categories that you already have. Then you can find a product that you can really excel at and install, okay? It should probably be something at least in the general vicinity of what you already do. I'll let you figure that out. I don't need to give you suggestions on that. I don't think so. Anyway, once you find out whatever your new product is, focus on selling this product to your existing customers first, okay? This is the idea. You've got this huge customer base that you've built up over the years. They love you. Hopefully hopefully they know you're good. Hopefully you're staying in touch with them to a certain extent via follow-up emails and mailers and things like that. If you're not, it's a whole nother video, but you need to do that. Okay, you're going to be surprised at how many of these people will need whatever it is that you're now selling, this new thing. Here's how you're going to do it. You're going to sell them to your existing customers, okay, via email and regular mail. Text messages, yeah, maybe. Go ahead and try that because it's low risk, it's low cost, but let's go ahead and put together a mailer. Send a little letter over that says, hey, here's what we're doing now. You've known us doing this other thing, Windows, whatever it is, you bought from us and you've been a good customer, and as a result, we're going to offer you a special deal on this new thing, whether it's a roofing or siding, whatever it is, okay? Here's what the offer is. And then you fire off that email, and then you're going to be really shocked at how many people are going to take you up on it. Then what you're going to do is use the funds that you've generated from your existing customers selling this new product, and you're going to incorporate those funds into your regular marketing. Start with pay-per-click and Facebook, and then expand into other marketing. Now you have a whole new profit center that you can make money from. Keep an eye on the results. Obviously, if the new product doesn't do as well as you'd hoped, or if it starts to fail, maybe it's just not a good fit. It doesn't mean it's not worth trying, but if it doesn't do as well as you thought, pull the plug on it. No harm, no foul, right? Maybe the timing isn't right. Maybe you can go and do it later. It's the most obvious and the most scary way to add extra revenue, but just understanding that it doesn't have to be permanent should help that a little bit. So that's number 3. The most obvious but scariest way to add extra revenue, adding a new product category. All right, let's keep rolling. Number 4, refer your customers to other companies. This is kind of a different take on what we talked about earlier. What I want you to do is find high ticket items that you believe in, that you've got some personal experience with, and then refer those products or services to your customers. Arrange with that other provider to pay you a commission, maybe 5 to 10% of the sale, depending on what it is and what their margins are, stuff like that. Find the products that you can back, and here's what you want to do. You want to write a letter and you want to make it personal. Send it out to your customers and let them know, hey, I've had some experience with this thing, whatever it is, and I don't know if this is something that you've ever even thought about or you might be interested in it, but if it is, let me tell you what my experience is. Here's what it is. I did this and this and this and this, and I evaluated different options, and here's what I found out, and this is the company that I decided to go with, and it was such a fantastic experience. These guys did such a great job over there. I want you to know about it. You can do this with anything. It's a little bit higher ticket item. This is the type of arrangement that we have. My company, Level 10 Contractor, we go into this kind of arrangement with other companies that have other services that serve similar customers to ours, okay? So for instance, there's a CRM system, customer relationship management system, and they're sending the same kind of letter that I just talked about out to their customers right now as we speak. You can do this too, okay? So you probably don't want to do this more than, I don't know, once or twice a year. You don't want to dilute this so that your customers are getting stuff all the time. It starts to kind of ruin the effect. You can't be sending something out every 3 weeks. Hey, I got this fantastic thing, hot tub, whatever the thing is. You got to make it kind of special. Here's the key on this one. Really, really believe in the product that you're endorsing, okay? Make sure that it's something that's high-end, first class, something that you would be proud to stand behind. A company that if they mess up or if they do something wrong, you know that they're going to take care of your customers, okay? Now, let me just pause and say, if you're enjoying this content, do me a favor, hit the like button, the subscribe button, so that you don't miss any of our future podcasts. Make sure you click the bell so that you'll be notified when the next video comes out. Also, you can listen to me every day on the Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast catcher you use. All right, let's move on to number 5, and I'm actually going to give you a bonus. We're going to have 6 today instead of 5, but let's go to number 5 first. Create an information product and sell it or get it sponsored. Now, there's 2 different ways you can do this. Probably, I don't know, maybe more than 2, but I'm going to talk about 2, all right? So the first one is to create some kind of a report or an ebook that talks about the kinds of things that you do, okay? This can be something that's going to allow you to set yourself apart as an expert. And then you can give these books or ebooks away for free as you need to run your company. But then you can also sell them. You can sell them on social media, create Facebook ads. You can actually make money selling these ebooks or these reports. And also, at the same time, you can generate prospects. Here's another idea for you. Start a podcast, okay? Teach people what they need to know about your category, whatever you sell, okay? Around the house kind of stuff. It's going to have to be a little more broad than just, windows, if that's what you sell. Think about that for a minute. People don't want to hear a podcast about windows, but they might want to hear a podcast on stuff around the house. Interview other contractors if you need to broaden the scope a little bit. Teach people, like I said, what they need to know and keep it interesting. Then your company can become a sponsor of your own podcast, or you can go out and get other sponsors, third-party companies, maybe some of these companies that we talked about earlier that you might want to be referring your customers to. Get them to sponsor your podcast. They can either pay you money, that's good, or you can have some sort of reciprocal relationship where they pay you based on the results of recommending them. Definitely not going to be the stream of choice for many of you watching, but it could be a way to generate some revenue while you're getting your message out there, creating trust with the prospects, and just doing your thing. Okay, so that was number 5. Create an information product, sell it, or get it sponsored. All right, we're usually done at this point with 5, but I've got a bonus for you today, and this is an exclusive. This is just for everybody who stuck around long enough on this video. Number 6, create a club membership program. Now, this is based on the HVAC club membership programs that I'm extremely convinced are the heart and soul and foundation of running a successful long-term HVAC company. What they do is they charge $20 a month, and then as a result of giving you them this $240 a year, $20 a month, right? They're going to come over to your house twice a year. They're going to tune up your heater. They're going to tune up your air conditioner. Then they're going to give you a discount, maybe 15% off, something like that. They're also going to give you front of the line service if you have a problem during peak, heat or cold moments. They're also going to bank the money that you give them towards a new system. Eventually they're going to need a new system. So it's $240 a year. Boom, it's a credit towards this replacement. So you're never really losing this money on this membership, but you're getting all these advantages from the customer's perspective, okay? So you can actually do the same thing even if you're not an HVAC company. Maybe you could offer some kind of home maintenance club. Maybe twice a year you go out to their home and you do an audit. I don't know, 10, 20 specific things. You can look at their garage doors, HVAC, their roofing, their siding, their windows, do an energy audit, look at their appliances, painting, fascia, whatever it is, siding, plumbing, sprinklers, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Figure it out. Hire somebody that can go out and do the actual inspection and look for issues. And then maybe you can give them discounts on service. And then maybe you can give them sort of repair or handyman, like 3 hours free per year. If you find something that's wrong and needs work, guess what? You can give them those 3 hours for free. That goes against the money that they're going to pay you for larger things. In turn, you can partner with other companies and feed them leads on services that you can't help the customer with. And you can make money from that. So I'm thinking, let's say you're a roofing company. This is a 1,000,000% no-brainer. It's a little less of a no-brainer for other types of companies, kitchen, bath, window siding. They're not necessarily as obvious. However, again, I want you to think about this. You set this up and it becomes like its own little entity or business over there. And you feed out the leads when things are detected that need to be dealt with by the partner companies, and you make a referral fee on those too. I mean, that's something to consider. All right. This goes all the way back for me before I even started my company. Like I said earlier, when I was in college working at that hardware store, again, that's hilarious because I can't fix anything, but I had done a marketing project for those guys and I was just working with them on a class project, and they ended up hiring me as a clerk, which was really, really stupid. But it was a True Value hardware store, and it was in Provo, Utah, near BYU. While I was there, I put together this True Value service center. So here's what I did. I went in and I found, I think it was like 30 or 40 local companies that did stuff around the house. It was plumbing and roofing and painting, you name it. It was like 30 or 40 different things. And then people would come in. They actually constructed this little service center. It was like, you ever seen a Peanuts cartoon with Lucy with her little booth for psychiatry? It was almost like that. It was a little more sophisticated, but not a lot. And so when people would come in looking for help, we'd connect them with one of those companies. And they already trusted us because we were their neighborhood hardware store. We had the relationship, so we'd make the referral. The customer was happy, the contractor got the job, and the store made a little bit of money. Okay, it was a great win-win setup. Now, what I'm talking about here is a little bit different than that. I'm talking about setting up a home maintenance club. You could do it. Okay, well, if you need some more information on that, that was the last of the 6 things, but you can send me an email, rich@level10contractor.com. Let me recap. Number 1, sell leads that aren't a good fit. 2, work your unconverted leads, wake them back up with smart follow-up, including snail mail. 3, add a new product category that makes sense with what you already do. Number 4, refer your customers to other high-quality companies and earn a commission on that. Number 5 was to create an information product or even a podcast, get it sponsored. And then bonus number 6, build a club membership program that locks in loyalty and recurring revenue. 6 simple, smart ways to squeeze more profit out of what you've already built. Pick one, run with it, and then watch the money start multiplying. I'll bet you'll want to thank me. Until next time, you're welcome.